Hey guys, I am here with Katherine, the founder of Ru and Rocka, which, as you know, I'm completely obsessed with. It is the most incredible, cool girl activewear brand. She has created the most incredible brand and she's done it all on her own. And I've literally seen her do everything on her own, so I can completely vouch for that. And she's just done so well. She's so creative. She's always my go-to if I ever want to like bounce ideas off of. Sometimes she works from my office, which is just my favorite, and she has the best advice, best tips, and she's just so creative. You're gonna love her. So welcome.
Bryony, I'm gonna cry. That's so nice.
I love the intros.
Oh yeah, it's so nice just sitting and listening to someone talk nice things about me.
Yeah, so nice. Well, welcome. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad you're
Thank
doing
you for
this.
having me. My first ever podcast.
I know.
And I'm so happy to be doing it with you.
Oh, yay. Well, I mean, take us back. So we were just talking now because I was like, when did you actually launch this? I feel like you've been around forever, but also it's just gone so quick.
No, it has.
So it was just before lockdown.
It's actually quite a long story.
Take
like
us
how
all
I
the way
actually got into Ru and Rocka. So when I was at school, I feel like the lesson that I enjoyed the most was always art.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of girls feel that way, like we all love a good art class, but I felt like I was definitely a creative person, like from a young age. Like I just knew that was like what I wanted to do. And then from that, everyone in school was like moving on to college. So I was like, right, okay, I'm going to go to college. And I kind of like didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like I think if I knew there and then what I wanted to do, I would have probably gone straight into a job.
Yeah.
But because I was a bit like, I need time to just kind of figure out what I want to do.
Which I think actually most people
are
like a bit
I
confused.
mean, you're literally like, I mean, when I finished school, I was 15.
Which is insane. Like, how are you supposed to know what you want to do when you're 15?
So I was like, right, I'm going to go to college. So I signed up to this art course in college, but it was very like a broad...
Was it a foundation course?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Art foundation?
Oh my God, I don't even know. It wasn't A-levels, that's for sure.
I think it's called art foundation. But anyway.
Yeah, maybe. It's kind of like a broad class. So there was like people in there that were like into fine art, into like fashion, in like so many different things. So it was kind of hard to like
focus.
Yeah, and like know what you want to do, because I'd be sat next to people who are drawing like portraits and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't do that.
That's not my thing.
Yeah, and I'd be there like making a scrapbook with like all my inspo and stuff. So it was kind of like, college was a weird one. Like the first year I think I really enjoyed it because it was like you have that independence of like you wearing your own clothes, you meet new people. And like my school was very like a really small school, so you were kind of like shielded, and there was like 30 people per class. Yeah. So I think going to college was like a big like eye opener really. And after the first year I was like, Mom, I don't want to go back. Like I absolutely hate it. And she was like, just finish it. You started it. Like what are you gonna do instead? Yeah. So I was like, right, okay. So went back for the second year, finished the second year, and then towards the end of the year, everyone's kind of talking about uni, and they're like, okay, well, where are you all going to uni? And I was like, oh, but I don't want to go to uni. Like
I think so many people can relate to this. Because,
I was just like...
Yeah, I also did. I did go to uni, but I did it part-time because I really didn't want to go.
You kind of feel like everyone else is doing it.
That's the only reason I did.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, right, so I'm going to go to uni. So then I started applying for different unis, even though I think deep down, like I knew I didn't actually want to go. I just kind of thought like, well, what else am I going to do? And then I knew like I was into fashion. So I thought, well, maybe if I go on a course that's just specifically for fashion, I'll enjoy it and I'll meet new people and it'll be great. So then I started like looking around at different universities. Manchester Met, that was like my first choice, which is where I ended up going. Went for all the interviews and everything, which was horrendous. Like I am just not an interview person.
Me neither.
I mean, even when you like said to me like, oh, come on my podcast, I was like, absolutely not. I was like, I am not doing that.
But you're a natural.
No, I was like, I'm gonna be a nervous wreck. But then I was like, no, do you know what, Bryony, I'm actually just gonna just be brave and just do it.
Just gotta go for it.
So went for the interviews, went to Manchester Met University and did fashion design and marketing. So when I first started, I think for the first couple of weeks, I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I was in the city.
Yeah.
I was like meeting loads of
Felt
girls.
independent, inspired.
Yeah. So I really liked it, like, for the first couple of weeks. And then the course itself was actually kind of not what I thought it would be. I didn't realize at the time when I signed up, but there was 2 courses. So there was one which was more like creative. So, you know, when you see like St. Martin's where they've got like the really like crazy outfits and stuff, they had like that side of a course, which was in a different building. And then they had mine, which was like more technical. Like we had science lessons
and doing all the
we
like,
had sewing lessons.
Yeah.
Like I was like, me and my friend always laugh. We were like, you know, on Coronation Street where they're like sat in the knicker factory, like that was us every day. And we were like, what are we doing?
How did we get here? But
So,
it is like that at uni. I went to London College of Fashion and it's so broad.
yeah,
And you're like, what? I didn't actually... And I feel like with you've got such a clear, specific vision of your
I
style.
kind of know what I like and what I don't and stuff. And then it's hard as well because it's all like perspective. So like I could create something that I absolutely love, but the teacher could be like, oh no, I don't like that. So it's really difficult.
And you're like, well, actually, it looks great.
Actually, it's really good. So so I stayed there for probably about 7 months, and I actually met my best friend there. So I'm so grateful that I actually, I'm so grateful that I went and I did that because we wouldn't have met. But
and
I remember
you two really help each other.
100%. Like I just know. I mean, I feel like now I'm so lucky. Like all my closest friends, obviously you being one of them. Like I've just got such a nice support system around me, and you know, and like everyone, like you want each other to do well, and like you just.
We always say that.
Yeah.
Like I think I was saying actually to Pia, you're a sum of the 5 people that are closest to you. So if you are around like people that really want to lift you up, or like I can call you anytime and be like, what do you think of this? And I know that you're going to be honest with me,
it's like an honest opinion. It's not like
it's so nice. And I think it's lucky, like you're quite lucky to have.
100%. Like it is so hard to find, and I feel like the last few years I've like picked up like different people on the way, and like all of my friends are quite different. Like everyone's kind of got their own thing going on, but I love that because it's like so exciting,
it's so
and like
nice
everyone's just
variety.
exactly. So I remember when I was at uni, I'd gone away for my 18th birthday with my family, and my best friend, she rang me and she was like, where are you? Like this was Instagram, like when you were posting on Instagram, but didn't have stories.
Oh yeah.
So I told her that I was going away, but she's obviously just like forgot. So she sat in class and she was like, where are you? Like I'm on my own. And I was like, I'm on holiday. I was like, I'll be back in like 4 days. Like I was like, don't quit, because I knew at this point like we both like just hated it. So I was like, just please don't quit. And she was like, okay. But I was like, oh, I can tell like she's gonna quit. So I got off holiday, and then like I went into uni and I rang her and I was like, you're not here. I was like, where are you? She was like, I'm so sorry. It's like I just couldn't do it anymore. So I was like, oh my God, like I don't want to do this without her. Like,
so how long did you have left of the course?
2 years.
Oh no. So you're
plus,
just like
plus like if I wanted to do a placement, 3 years. And I was like probably 7 months in, and I was just like, I just
so her quitting made you.
If I loved the course, then obviously I wouldn't have cared. Like I'd have been like, no, I'm gonna do this.
But that
and
was
like
the sign.
Yeah, I mean there was nice girls on the course, but everyone was kind of like living in Manchester and like in the city centre and like going out on the weekend, and like that just wasn't for me.
No.
So it was just like tricky.
Student life.
Just not for me.
I was just not a student.
No.
Like, the thought of drinking like I don't know what they were making.
Yeah,
but
just
putting
like
it in like a bucket with a load of straws in a kitchen. I thought,
just like not for me.
No, that's not for me.
Yeah, like me and her would like go for like a bougie lunch to like I don't even know, like a fancy restaurant.
Or like I remember going and doing, because I would have to go to London from Brighton for my evening course, and I would like save up and go for I'd only be able to afford one
Yeah,
drink.
but you
but
were
in a
like, I'd
nice
rather
place.
just enjoy it somewhere nice.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. And then being in that environment was just like, inspiring
yeah.
and
And
fun.
you just feel like
You
you're
felt
in the
good,
city,
didn't
and
you?
it's such a good vibe. So
So you quit uni, and then
Yeah, so I
that,
quit
I guess,
uni.
inspired you to just be like, okay, what should I do
So
now?
right before I quit, so my mum has a boutique, a clothes boutique, and all my family, to be honest, like they're all self-employed, so I've kind of like grown up around that kind of like
Crafting.
mindset, and like everyone kind of just does their own thing. So from the age of like 5 years old, she's had this shop. So she would always go to like appointments in London and Manchester, and like she'd always do the orders for her shop for the clothes. So she'd always take like me, my older sister, my gran, and sometimes her sister, my auntie, because she kind of like liked to just have the approval and like
Of
different
everyone.
opinions of everyone's ages. So like from such a young age, I was like going with her to do all this buying.
Yeah.
And I feel like they always knew with me, like they'd get a brutal like answer.
You knew.
Yeah, they'd be like, "What do you think about this top?" I'd be like, "Absolutely not." Like,
Put it back on the
rail.
Put it back now.
So one day we were like at this wholesaler's shopping for her, and I saw these like really nice lace dresses that I liked, and I was like, "Oh, they're nice." And my mum was like, "Why don't you just get some and like put them on Instagram?" Because like at this point, Instagram wasn't like at all how it is now, but I still had like friends and people that would follow me and say like, "Oh, where's your outfit from?"
Yeah. I
So-
feel like your Instagram has always been like, people, you are influential. People want to know what you're wearing, what you're doing, what you've bought for your office, you know, like, so I can see why she said that.
So she was like, "Why don't you just try and like sell them, see how they go? Like I'll buy them for you, and like you can just try it." So I was like,
How many dresses did you buy?
I think it was like £500 or £600, like the
Worth
total.
of, yeah.
So it maybe was like, I don't know, like 30 dresses or something like that, which like doesn't seem a lot, but when you have to find 30 individual people to actually buy it, and obviously like
when you've not had anything before.
Yeah, and I think as well, like you obviously kind of, you could get them, sell 10 and think, "Oh, amazing, like I've sold 10, but actually you've made no profit because you've actually got to sell what you've paid and then make profit. So she was like, "Why don't you just try
And
it?"
how old were you then?
So I was probably like 17.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so
you, already then you were like, okay, I've invested £500-600. I need to charge this to break even and make a profit.
well,
and then
actually, probably not. Now I look back and I think with that
don't,
mindset, because I'm a bit more like
You
switched on
understand,
with it.
yeah.
But back then I was just like, not
I'll
even.
sell 10
Yeah, I was
at
just
10.
like, whatever, I'll sell 10, mum's paid for.
Yeah, I'll retire early.
I was like, I'll just pocket what I've made and that'll be that. So I took them home, and then I rang my friend and I was like, I think I'm going to set up like a little clothing brand. I was like, "Would you mind to like come around and I'll take some pictures of you wearing it?" So she was like, "Yeah, like let's do it." So she came around to the house. I set up like this backdrop thing, and then started taking all the pictures. And then as soon as I was posting it, people were just messaging me, like friends, family, people that I just kind of like knew of, and were like, "Oh my God, like I want to buy it." And I just remember like they just flew out.
No way.
So I was like, "Oh my God, Mum, I need
sold all
more."
30?
Yeah. And I was like, "Mum, I need to go and get more." So then the next time we went, I got like a few different pieces, and then just slowly started to like put on different pieces. And then I created an Instagram, and it was called Studio the Label.
Yeah.
So this was my first business. So from that, it kind of then went into like resort wear. Like I'd found this really nice brand called Laurie and Joe, and it was all like really embellished, like caftans, mini skirts, like really cute stuff.
It was so cute.
And that brand for me like did so well, and I was like, right, this is it now. I'm kind of like going into beachwear. So then it kind of became like a beachwear and like a holiday brand rather than like an everyday brand.
Okay.
Which was great. And at the time, like I was super girly. Like I loved all the stuff that I used to get. And that did, like, at the time, it was crazy. Like I was like 18, 19 years old, and like it was just, I'd get stock in and it would just be out within a week.
That's crazy.
Like it was crazy. The only thing with that, looking back, obviously it wasn't my own stuff. So I was having to buy it in, and these pieces were like hand embellished from France.
So the prices
they were so expensive to buy in. So I was then having to sell them, obviously.
At such a premium.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously you've got like all your bills, you've got the VAT, all of that kind of thing. So I was having to put like a decent markup on. And then
just built your own website and everything, didn't you?
Well, when I first started, my mum actually, a guy that she used to work with, that's what he did. He built websites because it was kind of like, I think Shopify was around, but it wasn't as easy as it is now. So he created this website for me, which it was actually a nightmare. Like, he did a really good job, but the back end of it was all coded. So if something went wrong, I had to ring him and be like, can you change this? And it was really difficult. Yeah. Whereas now Shopify, like, you can literally just do it yourself.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
From Heaven Mayhem was like, you could set up your own website in like a few hours.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it's so like, it explains everything. I would say that, like, if someone's thinking to like start a brand, just like literally get on Shopify. I think it's like $20 a month for like a basic plan, and you can just create one overnight. Yeah. So I forgot my train of thought now.
So you were doing Studio the label.
Yeah, so
things were coming in, but they were too expensive.
Yeah, it was expensive, but I really enjoyed it. I did loads of pop-up shops in Liverpool, which were like, people would be queuing outside. Like, it was crazy.
That's so good.
And like, my mum and dad, like...
And you were only 18?
Yeah. And my mum and dad, like, my dad's a builder, so he has a van. So like, every morning we'd wake up, well, I say every morning, we did pop-up shops like probably like 5 times. So the night before, we'd all be up, like, prepping all the rails and stuff. Like, honestly, they're so patient with me. Like, the states I've had the house in, like, with stock and all sorts.
That's so sweet.
So we'd, like, load up his van, and then we'd go to Liverpool, like, set it all up, and then there'd be, like, people, like, queuing to get in. And, like, I remember, I think it was, like, the second pop-up shop I ever did. It was in this restaurant upstairs.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 11 grand in the space of like 2 hours.
That's insane.
And I was just like, wow.
I'm rich.
Yeah. And at the time, there was like a lot of cash. Like, it wasn't as much on card. So I went home with this like wad of cash. Honestly, I was sat in the van like, yes. And then I went home and was like counting it all out in these piles. And I think like my mum and dad then, like, obviously they are now, but they like looked
so
and they
proud.
They just thought like, oh, bless her, like, you know, she's done really well. So I carried on that for a couple of years, and then it kind of got to the point where I was like, right, these prices are like super high.
It's seasonal.
And I feel like my style was starting to change a little bit. Like, I was thinking, I kind of want to put stuff out there that you can wear every day.
Yeah.
And not just on holiday.
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, how am I going to introduce everyday clothes to this
like
brand that I've like spent so long trying to build up, and I've got this client base. So I was like, do I just maybe set up another brand and then kind of run both of them? So Studio, that's great in summer, and then the other one can just run all year long.
And just how did you come up with the name Ru and Rocka?
So when people ask me this, I get a bit embarrassed.
Why?
I think it's just like silly. Like, now I've chose the name, I love it so much, and I would never ever go back, but it is actually just really silly. So I've got a little sausage dog called Reggie, and we always call him Reggie Ru. Like, that's just his little nickname, Reggie Ru.
Sweet.
So I just thought I wanted to say Ru. Like, I don't know why. I was
Ru's
just like,
really cool.
Yeah, I thought just Ru. And then I was like, but I just don't think it's like enough, like, on its own. So then I was with my sister and one of my best friends, and I was like, right, no one is leaving this room until we get this name. So we were like going through all these different options, and I was like, I just like R&R. I said, I think it needs to be R&R. So we were like saying all these different options, and then eventually it just came like Ru and Rocka, and I was like, no, I really like
so
that.
Good,
yeah. So it literally that was it. But I think sometimes it's like the more unusual and like different it is, kind of like the better.
Definitely. And then it stands out and people always ask you, how did you come up with the name?
And I suppose like now it just kind of like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like I just don't even think about it. But like it is crazy that it kind of just like came from just my little baby.
I know, but those are the best names, and people are honestly, I mean, the quality of Ru and Rocka is insane.
Thank you so
and I love
much.
all of our collections we've done together.
I know, honestly,
it's felt
been
like
so good
because we both obviously now I'm really lucky that I've got a team, but before I was on my own and you were on your own, so it felt.
Well, I feel like everyone always says to me, like when we meet with your subscribers, the first question everyone says is, "Well, how did you meet Bryony?"
Oh yeah.
So I feel like
was it through Pilly and Kiki?
So I think it was just our personal Instagram.
Yeah, but you know what? So to cut a long story short, I had a swimwear business called Pilly and Kiki, which is also just...
And the bikinis were so good. Like, do you still have the website open?
We've got the website
people
open.
will still buy those.
Everything's sold out, but it's still there.
They're so nice. It's
I
so
know.
sad though, is because I
maybe
kind of
one
feel
day
like,
I'll do something with it, and I also love the name.
Yeah,
like,
so
and it's
cute.
like you, it's just something different,
unusual. Yeah.
So I remember our mutual friend Charlotte messaged and was like, "Oh, I've got this really cool girl with a cool brand, Studio the Label. She wants your swimwear to shoot with." And
I did the first shoot with the swimwear.
Yeah, which is so funny.
Oh my, I forgot.
I feel like
about
that's
that.
like lifetimes away.
Yeah.
So we did the shoot. Well, I just sent you the pieces, and I remember thinking like, I don't know what's going to come back like from this shoot. And you did the coolest pictures, and it was just you.
That is one of my favorite shoots. Because I had Molly.
Yeah.
Chorus model for me.
It was so good.
That was the first
We need to try
shoot.
and find those.
Yeah, I was looking at them last night actually, because I was kind of like looking back at like the timeline of everything, and I was looking at the pictures and I was like, wow, I forgot how good those actually were.
Yeah, but you've got such a good eye for that. We did that, and then also I think this was you, but it was separate. Charlotte was like, I was about to do Charlotte's Essex accent. I love her accent so much.
Go on,
I can't do it. She calls me Bri. She's like, Bri, I've got this really good girl. She was like, Bryony, I've got this amazing friend that will help you on Shopify. Do you remember?
What? Possibly. So you messaged me about Shopify?
I think I called you
did.
And you helped me on Shopify. Anyway, and fast forward, we connected on our personal Instagrams, and then one day, was it me or you that asked to meet up to discuss a collection? Was it me?
I think it was you.
What did I say?
So I think what happened was you reached out and was like, oh, it would be so fun if we like did something together. And I was like, oh my God, absolutely yes. I mean, I think this was this like 2 years ago?
Yeah, it must have been.
And
I remember we met in the gym.
Yeah, even like 2 years ago though, from now, I feel like I lacked confidence then. I mean, only 2 years, but I do feel massively like in the last year, I've definitely grown confidence. Because I remember when you said to me like, let's do something. And I was like, oh my God, 100% yes. But then I was kind of like, I think because I lacked that like self-belief, I kind of let it fizzle out. Whereas like, because I think we spoke about it, maybe even like before that, we spoke about it like on and off for like 6 months, like, should we do something? And then it just like fizzled out. And then I remember we did a call and you said like, let's still do the socks, but I think I'm going to go with another brand, and I'm going to release something. I can't remember what it was at the time.
I know. Yeah.
So then I literally kicked myself and I thought, you know what, Katherine, like, pull yourself together, because you've missed an opportunity there. And it's kind of gone. But obviously I said to you, I was like, yeah, let's do the socks, like, let's do whatever we can. And then I think that really gave me like a kick up the arse to be like, you can't sleep on stuff.
But then didn't you send me like, oh, this is what I was thinking?
Yeah, I think I sent you the mood board, and then you were like, oh my God.
And then I was like, no, let's just do everything together.
So then I came down to London, we met in the gym, and then just like chatted for ages, went through the mood board, and it was just like, yeah, that's it.
It happened
we're gonna
so
do
quickly.
Yeah, we turned it around in like 2 months, which is like crazy.
But can you give some advice on how, because I mean, you made the whole process so fun and so exciting. You were so organized. Like with you, everything's so well done and organized, and you've got all your people in all the right places. Like, you know, the best manufacturers, you have all the best people lined up. So it's like a well-oiled machine now. So how did you find them? Like, where, if someone wants to start a brand, where would they even start? Would they Google how to start an activewear brand?
I mean, it's like the way you just explained it makes it sound like I've like got my
shit together.
But
you actually have.
No, but trust me, behind the scenes I haven't. Like, some days I have, other days I absolutely haven't. But I think like having Ru and Rocka, it's been like such a journey, and like finding the right people to manufacture. I mean, even now, like I'm still looking at new places. Like, I think at one point I thought, okay, right, I'll have one manufacturer and they'll produce everything and that'll be that. But it doesn't work like that. Like, you've got to find different ones for different things.
But that's what I think you've done well, is like you've got the best of the best in each category. So you've got sweatshirts and tracksuit bottoms or whatever manufacturer. Then you do have someone for the caps, but you've found the best of the best, which is really good. I think
now I'm at like a good place where I think like I've got a really good kind of like network of people. Yeah. And like it's just about like figuring out what you want and how they work. Because I've had...
Did you go and visit loads?
No, so I've got quite a few in like different countries. So obviously it's not as easy as just like going to visit. Like, for example, like in China, like I do want to go out this year to visit a few. Yeah, so in summer last year, I went out to Portugal to visit a factory. And I mean, this was one of the examples. Like, I went out there, I'd been speaking with this guy that had this factory for ages. And I thought, right, okay, this is going to be the new factory. Like, I'm going to go and work with them, because I was kind of like, for me, quality is everything. Yeah. So I'm always like really conscious. Like, I want the fabric to be the best. I want it all to, like, my worst nightmare is someone opening the parcel and saying, oh, that's really shit quality. Yeah. Like, that would really hurt me. So I thought, you know, a lot of these big brands, like, they do manufacture in Portugal. So I was like, maybe that's where I should be looking. So I flew out there with my mum, stayed in a hotel. I mean, if anything, we had the best weekend shopping and having lunch. So, like, I don't regret going. But we went to this factory. The guy kind of, like, sold the dream, you know, like, we can turn around this quickly. Like, we can produce this, blah, 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 blah. And, like, I'm not doubting that he couldn't. But in the end, it just didn't work out. Yeah. And I think it's really difficult, like the timescale things, because you can like have in your head, like, right, I want to produce this collection, but from start to finish, it is a process. Yeah. And I think that's what people don't realize, is like how long you actually work on one certain thing. I mean, even like Cloudshare, like we started working on that like months and months before. And I think you're relying on people to like deliver on certain deadlines, and like it is hard. It's hard.
But how did you find your first one? Was it just Googling and calling and emailing? Like,
100%. And
because you didn't know anything before, you were just like YouTubing stuff or Googling stuff.
And I've learned so much. Like it hasn't been easy, and like one of the worst things, I mean, this will still happen in the future. It's not like I've figured it out and like it's never going to happen again. But stock arriving that's wrong, or like arrives and it's faulty, or you've got the print size wrong, or you've made like a tiny error and it arrives and you're like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? Yeah. And those things happen, and like there's nothing you can really like do about that. Yeah. But I think
you've got to then like try and just pivot quickly and move on and not dwell on it. And find I think solution.
I've always been like a stressor, so when stuff would arrive, even like when my samples arrive now in the post, I'm getting better, but I'll always have a mental breakdown. Like, it can be perfect and I'll be like, oh, no, that sleeve's wrong. Like, I'll always find something that I just think like that's wrong. Yeah. And I think in a way, like that's one of my best attributes, because I'm so fussy that it like makes everything kind of turn out great in the end. But sometimes like everyone says to me, like, you're too hard on yourself. Yeah, 100%. Like, you just need to relax. Like, it is like, it's fine.
And sometimes you just need to get something out there before making it perfect.
Like, that's why I absolutely love working with you. because I think me and you in some ways are the opposite. I think you're very go with the flow. Yep, that will work. Go, do it. Whereas I will sit on it for days and then not end up doing anything because I've like wasted so much time just thinking, oh, is that right or is that wrong? Or I'll ask people's opinion and then get a mixed bag, and then I'm like, oh, well, now I just don't know what to do.
I think sometimes as well, if it's getting to the point where you're spending so long trying to make it perfect, it's too late.
Yeah.
You've missed your
the
boat.
You just got to go for it.
Yeah.
And I think that
you've got to get it out there and just move on.
I think realize like, so now I've learned from all the things, well, not all the things, I'm sure I'll make another mistake, but you kind of, as you go, you think, right, okay, that's gone wrong.
Tweak.
But now I can remember for next time that I need to focus a bit more in that area.
Yeah, definitely. Those mistakes, as long as you're learning from them, you're basically then curating this perfect product along the way.
Yeah.
How do you think you've grown your confidence and built yourself up in that way?
I think...
Like, what are the main things that you've done to help that? Or
I'd say like since the past year or maybe 2 years, I kind of changed Ru and Rocka into like a drop basis. So I was like, I kind of scaled back on the quantities, because at one point I placed an order with this factory and I ordered 1,000 units of like different products. Yeah. But like all these boxes arrived and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
and
my
then
God.
It's stressful.
Yeah. So I kind
of doing the drops.
Yeah, I scaled it back a bit and I was like, right, I'm just gonna do this. It was actually the smiley face hoodie. I don't know if you remember that one. That was one of the first ones that I did that was like a little bit different, and I thought I'm just going to scale back the quantities. I think I ordered like 100
Check
units.
the response, test the market, and see.
Yeah, exactly. I did 100 units in each one, and then I was just like, I'm just going to drop that, hopefully sell out, but like I didn't have any expectations to. So then when that did really, really well and the response was crazy, I think that's when Ru and Rocka first kind of like had its big moment where I was like, wow. Yeah. Like people actually like want to buy this brand. And
you know what's really cool is that there are so many like loungewear, activewear, kind of everyday brands, but you can spot Ru and Rocka a mile off. You really can. Like, it is so hard to do that, and I think you've done it so well with the smiley faces and the palm trees, and we've tried to kind of keep the Ru and Rocka theme in our theme. So with the Pilates girl in the palm trees.
I love that.
So how did you stay true to yourself the whole way through? Because you kind of want to. It's hard because you're creating a product that you almost want everyone to just want and buy, but you want to stay true to your brand identity, which could be quite niche. Like, was that helped along the way with the confidence?
Well, 100%. I think, like, at the end of the day, you're never gonna do something that everybody is gonna like. You're just not. So I think with those, like, because they were quite out there and different, that is what kind of drew people to it. I think like doing those drops helped me massively because it gave me the confidence of like them selling out rather than like being sat on stock. Yeah. Because there is nothing worse. Like anyone will know when you're sat looking at a box that hasn't shifted and you're like, you end up hating it.
Sleep. Yeah, you resent.
And like, yeah, exactly. So I think that gave me like a lot of confidence working on that basis. And now it's like I've kind of got the confidence now to like go back into the big quantities. And I think as well, I got to the point where even when we met, I kind of had the mindset of, well, I'd rather sell out and just like move on than order too many pieces. And you were like, no, but like, you were like, KB, I think we can sell more. And I was like, are you sure? So we did like a really, really big order, didn't we? Yeah. And I mean, we did sell out, which I think both
Wasn't
of us...
it something like in a weekend or something?
Yeah, it was first so black sweatshirt.
I remember when you sent me that picture
of all the boxes.
That was so
it's
good.
So fun. So yeah, I think that just kind of like
gives me bit by bit the confidence.
Yeah, but I would say like I'm still trying to like get better. Like some days I'm really good, and I'm like, yeah, I've literally got this. And
Yeah.
then other days I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is so stressful. But I think like when you are on your own, like that is the tough side of it. Like you have to make every decision on your own.
Yeah.
There's no one there to kind of like, if
Bounce
you make
off
a
it.
mistake, like be like, oh, it's both of our faults.
Blame
like,
them.
I'd just be like at home, like sulking with my mum and dad,
Yeah.
like taking it all out on them, and they'd be like, oh God, here we go again.
But I think it's cool that you've like, how much would you say that someone could start this type of business with? Like, because realistically, you could do the website yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You do all the design. You do all of your Instagram, which is incredible, all the graphics. You also do a lot of mine, which is just my top tip. Just get a Katherine in your life. And you just do so much alone. You also send out the orders. And now you've got help. But before, you were posting them yourself.
No, so I still post them myself.
You still send them out yourself.
Yeah.
But you've got an office now, space where you can store stuff.
So I think I mentioned to you, didn't I, in summer when we were chatting about like distribution centers and stuff. I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, right, I really need to get someone in. But
you love doing it.
I do love doing it. Like, there's nothing better than
the
like
chaos of it all. It's
yeah,
so
like those drop days when your phone's just like ka-chinging all day.
I've been with you when your phone is just like ping, 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 ping.
It is literally like the best noise ever.
It's
like,
so good. It's so good.
Like every time when I'm with my boyfriend and it pings, he's like, ooh, another sale.
It's so exciting. But you could, I mean, if you think about it, someone could start a business like 100%. Yours with like 500 quid.
I think, 100%. You've just got to like
go for it.
Yeah.
And have you done anything else outside of like just the day-to-day with your work that has helped you with confidence? Like any kind of wellness things, or I don't know, like what has helped you outside of just the natural process?
I'm not just saying this because I'm sat with you.
Oh no.
But honestly, I think like being around you and the like meeting your subscribers and like doing all these things. Even I remember the first event that we did in London. That day was like the best day, like because I hadn't done a pop-up shop or anything like that since like the studio days. So like that day, meeting all these people and people being like, oh yeah, I've already got one of your hoodies, and like actually interacting with people in real life. I was
people were freaking out that you were there. They were like,
stop.
Oh my God, Katherine.
No, they were not.
They were.
But yeah, like events like that, I think
they just set like a fire within you, don't they?
Yeah,
you're like, okay,
100%.
This is amazing. People love what I'm doing, and
and I think that gives you confidence because like I obviously am on my own a lot, so when I'm in the office and stuff, you can get in your own head quite a bit, and I think it's so nice to put yourself out of your comfort zone. And I remember like that morning I was like, I said to my friend, I was like, I'm so nervous. And she was like, oh my God, like this is your brand. People are here to buy your top. Like don't be nervous. So
I think when you have a business online like you have or I have, the in-person stuff is so good as well.
It's so important. And I think that like without having you, maybe it would have taken me a lot longer to get to that point where I was going to events or I was putting myself out there a little bit more.
Well, I mean, you've been doing it since you were 17. I don't think it was me.
I know, but at one point I became a little hermit. Like I was
I think people actually, like that became a thing in lockdown.
Yeah.
Like after lockdown.
And I think you lose social skills.
Exactly. I know it sounds so silly, but if you were, I remember you telling me you were used to working in your mum's shop and seeing people, and at that time you're so good in different social situations, and then you go into lockdown and you just get used to being alone, and
or like just being with the people that you already know that you just can
it was
be
quite a change then coming out.
So it was 100%.
But I mean, no better business than yours during lockdown. I guess it was just
that was the kind of switch between that's what made me leave studio behind,
because you were like, wow.
And I do feel a little bit sad about it still, because like it was at the time, like I look back and it was
you'll do something
so good.
again with that.
Maybe it's still there. The page is still there. So we'll see. But I think that was the point where I was like, right. It was like that movement of like loungewear.
Yeah.
Where like everyone was just like, do you remember like everyone was taking pictures in the living room?
Yeah,
like
100%.
with
Making
like
banana
bed
bread.
sheets, like
Yeah.
and like, do you remember tie-dye?
Yeah.
That's what set Ru and Rocka. Like the first.
Did you do tie-dye?
Yeah.
Which tie-dye stuff? I didn't see
it
that.
was like, so
Were you like,
everyone was
shit, I need to do
tie-dyeing.
tie-dye
Yeah.
in the sink at your
Yeah,
parents'?
listen to this. So obviously all, like every factory was closed. Like you couldn't get, like I couldn't be like, oh, I want to do tie-dye. But I was like, I knew I needed to do it. So I was like, let me find some white tracksuits from somewhere and I will tie-dye them and this will be great. So I went online, searched for like days, found these white tracksuits, which were just like really nice. They were like a cropped fit anyway. I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do this. So I went to like the hardware shop because obviously that was like the only place that was open.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I bought this, or maybe it was off Amazon actually, but I bought this dye. So I did a few and then put a story on of me wearing it. And then my friend Tia Lineker, she messaged me and she was like, oh my God, babe, like I love that so much. So I was like, I'll send you one. So I was like, sent one to her. She took these like really cool pictures. Like at the time I was literally like, they're so good. Like,
Oh my God.
So she had this like bed sheet up as like a backdrop.
Everyone did that, didn't they? It was so
you
funny.
look back now and you're like, oh my God, what were we
know.
all doing? But she put this bed sheet up and she took these pictures in this tracksuit and the response was just like crazy. So
And
then
you had just tie-dyed yourself?
Yeah. So then I was like,
See, this is the thing.
like,
You've just got to be so creative.
you have to improvise, I think.
And it's fun. Like, I actually think it's way more fun being, like, working on a bit of a budget and just being so
just
creative.
working with what you've got. And I think that's it as well. Like, people kind of, like, buy into the fact that, like, it's real and, like, it's not just this mass-produced thing.
People
that,
are going to love hearing this. I think it's so cool. And you don't need, like, a huge PR team behind you. You can just do like the simplest of things have the most impact. Like when I sent peaches out to people, that was still my highest performing thing of last year. Like a box of peaches.
It's just so fun. And I think
your stuff is just simple but so effective, and I just think your branding and everything is just
thank you so
much. You've absolutely nailed it.
Thank you.
So can you give me just to kind of wrap it up, can you give me your top piece of advice for someone going into business?
I would say
it can be a couple of things.
Yeah, I would say for me personally, I think, I know it's a bit like cliche, but just having that self-belief, like just backing yourself, and like at the end of the day, I've kind of like got to where I am now from doing what I like and what I think's right. And I think sometimes you can like doubt yourself too much that you end up not putting anything out there. And I think if you like it and you want to do it, then I think just do it.
Go for it.
Yeah, 100%. And
you just have to think, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
Just like you say, believe in yourself, back yourself, be your own hype person.
Yeah,
and just
100%.
Put yourself out there, and also
Yeah.
you'll be surprised at the response. People want you to do well.
Yeah, they do. That's the thing. I think it's scary when you kind of put yourself out there, that you aren't going to please everybody. But once you accept that, okay, I'm not going to please everybody, and like the people that like it will love it, and the people that don't, well, they don't have to buy it.
They don't matter.
Yeah, block out the haters.
But yeah, it's true. You can't. Not everyone is your customer.
Yeah.
So just focus on the ones that are, and what they love, and what you love, and just give your everything and work really hard. And what would be your one piece of wellness advice?
So I think,
or your approach, or your
so I think, like we were speaking about this before, like for me, because I am on my own, to be in an office all day, like it is quite long, and like you can get in your own head. So I think even just like the simplest thing, like going for a walk, or like even just like if I do one of your classes, like I feel like I'm with you.
Oh.
So I'm getting like a bit of company at the same time.
Yeah,
like
I know what you
I
mean.
probably talk back to you and you're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, hey, Bryony.
But it is like that.
But yeah, I think just doing something like that, or if I'm having like a really bad day, I'll just be like, right, I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Even if I don't want to, I think, right, I'm going to go because I know afterwards I'll feel better.
Yeah. So
or
just
even
forcing yourself to just
yeah,
change the
just,
state of play a bit
yeah,
and get yourself
100%.
out. Or,
And I think classes are really good for that as well. If you are someone who works alone, like to go to a gym class,
group
get
class.
the interaction.
Yeah.
I went through a phase where I was obsessed with boxing for like a whole year.
Oh, wow.
I've kind of like dropped it now. Like I need to go back. I do miss it, but I'd like turned into a bit of a beast.
Boxing is so good.
I love boxing.
It's so much fun.
but
And if you're stressed, it's such a good relief.
no, it is so good. So I would just say like, just get out and just try and do something, because it does like mentally makes you feel so much better.
And as you are kind of online into tech, you're very creative. What would be like your 3 must-have tech things that help you? It could be like apps or download this or do that.
So I would say I couldn't live without Photoshop.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's very helpful, because I feel like unless you actually know how to use it, you could do an online course on it. I'd say that is like a really, I'm not great with Illustrator, which most people it's the other way around, but I'd say that for me really, really helps. Cause
maybe do a YouTube on
Photoshop. It allows me to do all the like
creative.
Superimpose. So like if I have an idea for a hoodie, if I can go on Photoshop, get the picture of the hoodie and see how it's going to look, that I don't know what I would do without that, because I wouldn't know what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
So I'd say Photoshop, but maybe even now, I think there are really good apps. Yeah, like Canva, you could probably manage to do like a bit of a collage on that.
Yeah.
I love my iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't live without that. I've got the little pen on the top.
So
most of the designs on the hoodies, like the G-Wagon, I actually drew that on the iPad.
That was insane.
So yeah, I couldn't live without that. And then yeah, I'd say like Shopify is just huge for anyone that wants to start a business or a brand. Just get on Shopify and just don't think too much about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was
thank you
so
for
fun.
having me.
And now we're going to film a class.
I know. I'm scared for that.
Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you.